Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel, or if you're new here, my name is Josh, and in today's video, we're going to be reviewing the Wells Fargo Active Cash credit card. So I'm going to be going over the main features of this credit card, the pros as well as its cons. So hopefully by the end of this video, you should have a much better idea of whether or not this credit card is a good fit for you. Now, before I go ahead and dive into the main features of this credit card, if you wouldn't mind helping me out real quickly by just giving this video a like, that just helps out with the YouTube algorithm, and also consider subscribing to my channel if you have not already. Okay, so diving right into the main features of this card. First off, this is a credit card that is going to earn you 2% cash back. That means for every $100 that you spend, you will receive $2 in cash back, which beats a lot of other credit cards out there currently on the market, which you will see anywhere between 1 to 1.5% cash back. Now, the 2% cash back that you will be receiving is going to be on every single transaction. There are no caps, so it doesn't matter how much you spend, you will be receiving that 2% cash back. Now, in addition to that, you'll also be receiving a $200 spend bonus as long as you make at least $500 in purchases within the first 3 months of having your credit card, which really won't be too difficult to do, considering that's just a little bit more than $150 in spend every single month. Now, as far as redeeming your cashback goes, you will have a few different ways to do so. So first off, you can redeem them on purchases as long as the transaction is at least $1, so it will be sort of a statement credit, kind of canceling out one transaction. You can also redeem as a statement credit to your credit card, checking account, or a mortgage as long as it is through Wells Fargo. You can also redeem them for cash at an ATM in $20 increments, but you do need to have a Wells Fargo ATM or debit card in order to do this. You also have the choice to redeem your cash back for gift cards, and finally, you can also use your points through PayPal whenever you do your online shopping. Now, a couple of other main features of this credit card include the fact that it does not have an annual fee, so you can continue to use this credit card every single year and you don't have to pay an annual fee to do so, like you may have to with some of the other credit cards out there on the market that can range anywhere between $95, $500, and even above that. In addition to that, for the first 15 months with this credit card, you will have a 0% intro APR on both purchases and balance transfers. So if you have to make some large transactions, you have some large transactions coming up, you could always put them on this card and pay them off slowly over time, and you'll have a 0% interest rate for the first 15 months. Now, you will want to make at least the minimum payment, and on my channel, I always recommend to pay your bill off in full, but that option is always there if you would like to take it. Now, as far as some other features of this credit card goes, you will have cell phone protection, so you can get up to $600 of protection against damage or theft as long as you pay for your monthly cell phone bill with your credit card. And it is important to note that there is a $25 deductible. You also receive credit close-up, which basically lets you know what your credit score is and also gives you some helpful hints on how to raise it over time. And finally, you will be getting zero liability protection, which basically means that if someone steals your credit card and goes out and makes several transactions with it, on those transactions, you will not be liable to pay for them. Now, as far as the APR and fees go with the Wells Fargo Active Cash credit card, this is something very important to go over. Starting out, like I mentioned before, you will have a 0% intro APR on purchases and balance transfers during your first 15 months. However, after that, your APR will be jumping up to 19.74, 24.74, or 29.74%, of course, based on your credit worthiness. And then on balance transfers, there will be an intro fee of either $5 or 3% of the amount of each balance transfer, whichever is greater. That's going to be for the first 120 days from your account opening. And then after that, it's going to be up to 5% for each balance transfer with a minimum of $5. Now, as far as cash advances go, which I would strongly recommend ever against taking out, you will have an APR of 29.99%, and additionally, you'll be hit with a fee of either $10 or 5% of the amount of each cash advance, whichever is greater. Also, with this credit card, just like with any other credit card, you'll definitely want to make sure to avoid ever paying late because there is going to be a $40 fee for doing so. This is also a credit card that you probably won't want to take abroad with you if you happen to travel outside the United States. That's because there is a 3% foreign transaction fee with this credit card, so you might want to consider taking another credit card with you, one that does not have a foreign transaction fee. And thankfully, like I mentioned earlier on in this video, this credit card does not have an annual annual fee, so you can continue using it year after year without worrying about whether or not you're receiving enough benefits that make it worth it to pay an annual fee, because there is no annual fee with this credit card. Okay, so now that I went over the main features and the fees of this credit card, I'm going to go ahead and quickly jump into the biggest pros and cons of this credit card. So we're going to start out with the biggest pros of this credit card, and that's going to be the fact that you are going to be earning 2% cash back on all transactions. 2% cash back on every single transaction is a huge pro, because if you look at a lot of other credit cards currently out there on the market, a lot of them are unfortunately only 1 to 1.5% cash back. So this one, earning 2% cash back on all transactions, is definitely a pretty huge perk. In addition to that, the second biggest pro of this credit card is the fact that you are going to be earning a $200 spend bonus as long as you're able to spend at least $500 within the first 3 months of account opening, which again isn't too difficult to do. That's only a little bit over $150 per month, which a lot of people easily do. And you can also sort of just think of this as like 40% off of your first $500 in transactions with this credit card, because you're going to be receiving $200 off the first $500 that you spend. And finally, the third biggest pro of the Wells Fargo Active Cash credit card is the fact that for the first 15 months, you are going to have a 0% intro APR on both purchases and balance transfers. So if you have some large purchases coming up and you don't want to pay it off right away, you could always take advantage of that. Also, if you currently have another credit card that you have a balance on that you're paying interest on every single month, and that credit card has a larger APR, you could always transfer that balance over to this one, and for the first 15 months, you will have a 0% intro APR. Now, of course, this is not financial advice, but it is always something you could consider. Now, as far as the biggest cons of this credit card goes, starting out is the fact that cashback is not all that flexible. If you want to receive cashback, sure, you can receive them at a Wells Fargo ATM. However, that does require having a Wells Fargo checking account and a Wells Fargo debit card. So if you do not have a checking account with Wells Fargo, unfortunately, you will be out of luck. However, you can always opt for a statement credit, which essentially is the same thing. Now, the second biggest con, in my opinion, of this credit card is the fact that this card does not have any type of bonus categories. I mean, sure, you are receiving 2% cash back across the board, which is pretty good, but it would be really nice if they had separate bonus categories, perhaps where you could earn 5% cash back in. Perhaps every single quarter they could rotate it where you're going to be earning 5% cash back in certain categories. However, this is not really that big of a deal, because again, you are going to be earning 2% cash back on all transactions, and you could always pick up another credit card such as the Citi Custom Cash card, which is going to be earning you 5% cash back in your top spending eligible category. Now, the last con of this credit card, at least in my opinion, is the fact that there is a 3% foreign transaction fee. So unfortunately, this would be a credit card that you probably would want to leave behind if you do happen to travel outside the country. But just to sum things up here, all in all, I would say this is a pretty good credit card overall. After all, it is one of the credit cards that made it in my wallet. It's one of the cards that I definitely love. 2% cash back across the board. You really can't beat that, especially if you pair it with another credit card like the Citi Custom Cash card that will earn you 5% cash back in your top spending category, whether that's groceries, gas, or something else. But that's all we have for today's video. I certainly hope that you enjoyed this review and found value out of it. If you did, again, I would greatly appreciate if you could give this video a like. Consider subscribing to my channel if you have not already, and I will see you in the next video.